Right. Come and join us.
Well, you should sit in the middle.
No, I'm not, because it's like being at Wimbledon Centre Court there, and I'm doing that all the time. I'm going to sit here, but plus you'd have to have your back to the audience, and you're more important than I am. Right. Tell me something, Bill. If, and clearly this didn't happen, at least I'm making an assumption here, if Lewis had succeeded in demolishing your arguments, I mean, I make the assumption that he didn't from your perspective, you understand. Leave that to other people to make the judgment. If he had succeeded in demolishing your arguments, would your faith have remained intact?
Yes, both because my faith is not ultimately based on arguments, but also because I've got other arguments.
I'm tempted to quote Cecil B. DeMille to you, asked about his principles. He said, "Gentlemen, those are my principles. If you don't like them, I got others."
Yes. Well, I mean that sincerely. In 20 minutes, you can only share a limited amount, and I do think there are other sound arguments for God as well.
You had a bit more than 20 minutes. Well, son, you had about 40 minutes, but there we are. All right, 40 minutes. But the fact is, it wouldn't have mattered what in short, it wouldn't have mattered what he had said, your faith would have remained intact.
Yes.
Right. So what's the point of the argument then?
Well, it's not, Lewis and I aren't here tonight to try to persuade each other. We're here to try to make this available for the public, and I think there are people out there who are searching and trying to find the meaning and purpose of life in the same way that I was, and it's the public that we're interested in bringing this information
and let me reverse the question to you, Lewis, though it's more difficult, obviously, in the case of somebody who doesn't believe, and that is, are you capable of believing in a supernatural God? That's to say, and it's a terribly difficult one, of course, but if Bill had succeeded in demolishing your argument, is it conceivable that at the end of the evening you said, yeah, maybe you got a point. I'll go home, I'll do what you said, I'll read that New Testament again, I'll study the life of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus, and who knows, tomorrow I might be at your church.
No argument would have mattered, but certain events could change my mind. A few miracles would certainly make me reconsider. I mean, there's no question. I would have to. I feel a few more resurrections, for example.
How many do you want as a matter of interest?
Would certainly undermine a great deal of my beliefs.
Would one do? I mean,
one would be a very good beginning, yes.
Yeah. Anybody in mind, in particular, that?
Well, I am thinking about myself at my age.
Yeah, which takes us to the Pascal wager, I suppose. All right. What? Did he say absolutely nothing tonight to not shake you? Of course, obviously no. You're not shaken. There's no that pointless question. Did he say anything at all tonight that made you think, well, there's something there?
No, I didn't think these were very good arguments that we heard tonight.
But all right, let me do my bit then.
Yes.
He asked you endlessly to answer his question about what came before God. You tell us that God, without a shred of evidence, if I may say, as an independent chairman here, you tell us that God created the universe.
I gave an argument for that.
Well, you gave an argument for it, you produced no evidence for it. Clearly, because you can't. How can it? Anyway, all right, put that to one side. But what he wanted to know was who therefore created God.
Mm-hmm. Well, to answer that question again, God is, by definition, a self-existent, timeless, necessary being. So if there is a God, yes, if there is a God, we'll talk about possibilities. If there is a God, there cannot be a cause of such an entity, any more than there can be a cause of the number 7 or the property of being blue. Things that begin to exist, that come into being, have causes. But something that's eternal and necessary.
So God was always there, and at some point along the line, although there was no time then, so clearly I can't say at some point in time.
Exactly, very good. That's right.
Which makes it mildly more difficult to pursue this, but nonetheless.
But that's right. Yep.
At some point, God decided that he'd create this whole thing.
Rather, I would say not that he decided, but at some point he did create the whole thing.
Well, presumably he just, well, yeah, all right. He created the whole thing. Yeah. You haven't got a better explanation of why the universe came. Well, you don't know. You said so.
Sorry, there's nothing to be ashamed about admitting ignorance. I don't understand the Big Bang. I vaguely, I discussed it with people. And if there are things that we don't understand, we just have to say we don't know. You don't have to invent mystical creatures in order to do it.
You don't have to invent mystical creatures.
Sorry? No.
You don't have to invent mystical creatures.
No, I don't think you do. I just think you have to say you don't know and keep on trying to find out. And maybe we'll never find out.
Yeah. And if you found it was a supernatural being?
Oh, I'd be absolutely shocked, but I would change my mind. But I'd need, to think a tiny bit of evidence would be a very good beginning.
He's offered you evidence.
No, that's not evidence.
Certainly, there's more than a tiny bit of evidence on the table that the universe began to exist.
That's total speculation.
Well, the astronomer royal Martin Rees would beg to differ with you.
Well, he can beg if he wishes, and I like Martin very well.
In his book, Just Six Numbers, Martin Rees says
I know Martin
that,
well.
yes, well, and he says that the modern cosmology is as firmly established a science as the geology of the Earth. Yes. This is not a matter of airy-fairy speculation.
Now we're back into the constants again.
No, this is Big Bang, not fine-tuning we're talking about now.
So what's
his book was on fine-tuning, but he makes this statement in the course of...
What, that the Big Bang must have been caused by someone?
No, that the...
I bet he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
No, he takes an agnostic attitude as far as I know.
Well, that's good. That's at least...
What he actually said, what Martin Rees actually does, as far as I can tell, and it's above most of us mere mortals, I think, so it's above me anyway, is he speculates on this possibility of the multiverse and the idea of what's that ghastly film in which we're all just in a computer, The Matrix, isn't it?
Right.
And he says we just could be kind of players in a... You and I argued this morning about the chess game. We used an analogy that eventually ran into the sand. My fault that. It was a hopeless analogy to begin with. But the Matrix one isn't bad, and he conjectures that this designer is kind of playing a computer game, really, and we're one of a million, a billion, a trillion universes. And it just kind of happens that way. As far as I'm concerned, I've read a bit of what he said. I don't recall him saying God did all that.
Oh, no, not at all.
And he certainly didn't get into Jesus as being
certainly not. I was simply saying that this is not a mere matter of speculation, that there's more than a tiny bit of evidence on the table.
But is he saying
evidence for what?
Evidence for a beginning of the universe.
Yes, we know that. Nobody disputes that.
Well, that's what I'm offering in this first argument, is the evidence.
But because the beginning doesn't imply a God.
It does if the first premise is true, that whatever begins to exist has a cause. It logically follows.
Yeah, but the cause hasn't got to be God.
Well, remember I gave an argument for thinking that this cause is timeless, spaceless, immaterial, enormously powerful, and personal.
I think it's a computer.
Well, that wouldn't... computers are designed by people.
No, this is a self-designing computer.
Timeless.
Timeless.
Well, that's a contradiction in terms.
Why is it timeless? What's contradictory about it?
A computer has to function. It takes time.
No, this is a special computer.
Yeah, but it has to be logically coherent.
Oh, it's logically coherent.
Yes, you have to be logically coherent.
Oh, no, this computer is amazing.
No, besides, it would have to be, as I said, a personal being.
No.
A computer is a physical
Not this computer.
Object.
Oh,
well, then,
no.
Okay, see, what you're doing is what you're calling a computer is really God. A non-physical, It's just another word if you rob it of all the attributes that make it a computer.
Surely Gates is God. Come on, go on.
What, go on with my computer?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really saying...
I mean, but he's got a point when he says...
I'm saying that I don't know what caused it. And he claims he does know what caused it.
But he's saying more than that. He's saying you've got to prove.
No, I don't have to prove. I have to admit ignorance.